You know, the ick for me is like when I shake someone's hand and I feel like
the limp hand.
The limp hand.
Yeah. Like, and their wrist.
Yeah.
Whether even a women when they do that, it's like, they like the wrist is broken, or like, I guess the ickiness throughout your whole body. It's like it chills. Yeah, like I don't care. You're pansexual. I don't care if you're bisexual. I don't care what the hell you are. If you're a guy, learn to shake a hand. It'll go a long way.
Yo, if we're doing a deal together and you shake my hand like that, I feel like I can take advantage of you.
Of course. You just feel like the person's weak. If his handshake is weak or her hand, like their character has to be weak, which means their mindset might be weak. I can break you.
Yeah. Hello and welcome back to the DC Talks podcast. This is episode 56. Man, a month has gone by into the year, man. We're going into February. You know what I'm saying?
Shut the front door.
Shut the front door, man. You know? So we're back in it. You know, we're moving and grooving. DC, how you doing?
Doing well, buddy. How about you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I see you got the green jacket, one of my favorite coats that you have. You know, tailor-made.
Feel like I'm gonna go like just win a golf tournament. You know, like
you won the Masters.
Yeah,
I should have been putting that jacket on you right now.
Just put it on. You know.
before we record a show,
just put it on.
You
get the energy flowing.
Exactly.
Yo.
But today's topic, you know, one of the key things that you wanted to talk about today was this idea of perfection, right? And how there's a lot of pressure in being perfect in everything that we do. And you coined this term imperfectly perfect. Perfectly imperfect.
Yes. So I talked about it in one of my Chinelli chats as well.
Yeah.
Just being like, listen, at the end of the day.
How do you define this?
I find we're imperfect beings, right? We're striving to always be perfection, but notice that we're always going to fail. And that's part of our design, I think, at this point. Yeah, we were designed to be perfect beings, live with God, always. But since our fall from grace, we're imperfect. And it's always our strive to be perfect. But you should take some solace in that. Like, know that we are imperfect, like, you know, and that's okay. You know, actually, like, it's almost like accepting yourself and knowing that, again, I'm always about pushing your boundary, trying to make yourself better. I don't want you sitting back saying, well, screw this. I'm never going to be perfect and never trying. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, like, you're okay to make mistakes and learn from them and build on that. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be imperfect in that kind of sense and like striving for perfection. And that's what makes us perfectly imperfect.
All right. And in what ways do societal expectations contribute to this idea of
being perfect all the time?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. In what ways do you see it in your life?
Oh my God. Instagram picture back. Do you take selfies?
Only for myself. Like if I'm like sending something to my family at a location, but never to post on IG though.
Yeah. Well, like, for us, I don't do a lot either. Like we do it for the business here, but you know, you've seen how it's affected like young girls stuff too. They'll take like 100 pictures and maybe post one because everything has to be perfect. And then they have filters and then they do this and everything has to be, and then he's perfect in every aspect of it before they even post. And if they don't get enough likes, they take it down. And it's just, I'm just using that as one example.
Yeah.
But then even how they portray themselves on social media, like, oh, we have to have a perfect relationship and have to have a perfect dog and have to have a perfect son and everything needs to be perfect. And it's like, that's not real life. Like, I think the saying was going, for those couples you think have a perfect relationship, probably have the worst, like on social media, probably have the worst relationship, you know? So it's become so fake. You know, like you're always worried about other people think and say of you as opposed to actually worry about what's happening right in front of you.
Yeah, there's even that one Drake song, right? He talks about how there's that one girl who's always looking as if she's on the go. So she's always in Italy, she's in Spain, she's in Morocco. She's like living this perfect life. But you never know, like she might be in credit card debt, just like to finance all those different things. So we're like living double lives in a majority.
Or the other sect is like, we know other ones that date a lot of older men just to get those things.
DC, they go to Dubai.
Yeah.
They go to Dubai.
And then you have a hollow, shallow life. And it's like, sure, like, listen, at the end of the day, like, you're basically selling your body to go on yachts and trips like that too. Like, is that perfect? Is that the life you want to do? Like, to me, that is, that's not a life to live.
So let's look at you, right? Perfectly.
Why?
This is the DC Talks, man.
Yeah, I know.
So share your experiences with the perfectly imperfect. In terms of, let's say, your career, being a realtor.
We fail all the time.
All realtors fail all the time.
All the time. And then Like,
And
for
I see
example,
this a lot in real estate too.
yeah, like this.
You
Like,
seem perfect.
I remember seeing like, just remember back in the day, like not even back that far long ago, when there was multiple offers on a home, and I'm using this one example, and it's like, well, like you agents must love this. I'm like, I went on an offer presentation. There was 63 other offers, right? You failed that night. Only one person's winning.
Mm-hmm.
So 62 of us had to put our tail between our legs and fail on it, try to figure out what to do the next time, right? It would just, and other people are like, oh, you must love this market. We hated that market because some of us couldn't feed our families because of that. So it's like the perception of like, oh, the market's great, you must love this, and like that's a perfect world. I'm like, no, it was terrible, you know. But failing in the sense in our real estate too, it'd be like, yeah, like not getting a deal or losing a client and then learning from it. It's like, okay, like why did I lose this client? What did I not do? And like, there's still times over here you're like, talk like, is there something I could have done differently? It's also open up communications. You know, every time we fail, like again, that goes from like not winning a bid on a house or losing a listing presentation. You remember we talked about what a listing presentation is? Yeah. Yep. So a bunch of realtors line up basically and they give their listing presentation and only one of them gets to list the home. So if you don't win on that, I'm like, well, what did I lose on that? And you try to get some positive feedback. It doesn't happen as often to me anymore, but it still happens, you know, and it's like, okay, there's certain things I could change from it. That's perfectly imperfect. Like I'm not perfect. I'm not going to get 100% of the listings I go up for. I'm not going to get 100% of the buyers. It's just, you're not, when I put an offer in a house, I'm not going to get it 100% of the time. You have to work at it. You have to like hone your skills. What does it work on both sides? So yeah. And then with parenting, fuck, there's no parents out there. There's no like, there's no guidebook. Like,
you gotta learn on the go.
Oh yeah. Things change so rapidly. Like, and growing up with girls too, like my family was boys, right?
Boys, yeah. You and your
so
brothers.
Natalie has to teach me stuff about girls all the time. Can't say that to your daughters. Say what? I'm like the things that we would say to our brothers and stuff too. And it's like, well, females take that a little more hard, you know, like when we're trying to be direct at certain things, and Natalie's like, you can't say that stuff. I'm like what? Or if I'm like trying to hug my daughters and they say, no, stop. And I'm just thinking it's a joke. She's like, no, you have to actually stop. And I'm like, what do you like? We're just joking around. It's like, I'm there to comfort them. Like, they have to realize that no means no. And then when it comes, you don't want to get them in a situation where they're with, if something ever happens, God forbid, you know, that they want to make sure that no means no. They know that the person's going to stop. And if they don't, then it's rape. You know what I mean? Like those kind of awkward situations. Never have to think about that stuff, you know, like learning all the time, you know, like you're perfectly imperfect. You're going to fail and that's okay.
Yeah.
Stop beating yourself up for not being perfect. Right. Yeah. But also don't be perfectly imperfect. Don't be perfectly failing all the time just to say like, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, try not to be like, just fail just to fail.
Use this as a crutch of like, oh yeah, I'm imperfect. So I can fail like knowingly. It's like you're pleading ignorance to something that you already know that you shouldn't be doing. Like, hey, I made that mistake before, but doesn't mean just because I know I'm imperfect, that means I should knowingly be okay with making that mistake again. Like
I dated a girl in university, and when me and Natalie were dating beforehand, like we were competitive. We sports, cards, we're still competitive. Even like, you know, we played board game with our kids last night. And it was funny because I remember if I was winning, she would just give up. And I'm like, oh, she's like, well, you're going to beat me anyway. And I was like,
this is not saying that?
No, this is the girl I dated. I was like,
oh, okay.
That's why I knew it wasn't going to work out. You know, I'm like, no, you gotta try. Fight. You gotta fight. You gotta try. Like it just, of course, I'm bigger and stronger than you, but it doesn't mean like you just give up.
Yeah.
How are you gonna win anyway?
Yeah.
What kind of attitude is that?
That defeatist mindset.
Oh yeah.
It gives, you know how girls these days say they give me things guys do give me the ick. Have you heard that?
No.
So
I think
there's a trend. There's a trend going now, like things that give girls the ick. So for example, like an ick is, let's say you and I playing beer pong, and the ball falls on the ground. And you know how a ping pong ball is like very uncontrollable. It's you know, it's not predictable. You don't know where it's going to bounce there, whatever. Yeah. So a guy like chasing the ping pong ball around, and then, you know, they're kind of bending over. You kind of see their ass crack. It gives the girls the ick, right? So
that's a long explanation. You could have just had a plumber going to fix a crack and then you see his crack.
No, but just the idea of you chasing the ping pong ball around.
Oh, okay.
It's just like, what are you doing? Just relax. You don't have to chase it. Another ick I saw was this girl who says, you know, when a guy wakes up and he looks confused, right? So when you wake up, you're like, what? Where am I? she was saying as a guy, you should be waking up with a purpose, a mission. You're like, you know where you're at,
Wow.
where you should be going, but you should not be waking up confused. Like, apparently that is womanly.
Not knowing where you are?
Not knowing, like waking up and like being confused. And like still.
Women wake up confused?
So they want you to wake up.
Be
beside
careful,
them.
man. I don't know about that.
They want you to wake up next to them. As if
you're reassuring them that it's like, you know where you are and your purpose in life and you're safe?
Yeah, it's just kind of like you wake up, you stand up, like you're not disoriented when you wake up. Apparently, if you wake up disoriented, that's a very womanly trait.
Never heard of that.
So that gives them the ick.
Okay.
So for you, the ick here, DC, is like the chick was not being competitive.
Oh, it drives me nuts.
So it kind of like turned you off.
Yeah.
You know, the ick for me is like when I shake someone's hand and I feel like
the limp hand?
The limp hand. You know,
like, and their wrist.
Yeah.
But for Natalie too, I remember like that's just like
that's
women.
So
whether even a women when they do that, it's like, oh, they like the wrist is broken, or like, oh,
get that away from me.
It gives you like the ick, like I guess the ickiness throughout your whole body. It's like it chills. Yeah, like
I think sometimes too it's cultural, because I think even with in the Islamic culture, you know, the women are supposed to be very, you know, extra conservative. So even if like I'm with my husband and I'm shaking another man's hand, I have to just hold it just for a second so I don't give him any ideas that I'm doing. So I get that.
Yeah, but
you know what I'm saying?
There's no excuse to the dude doing that.
Yeah, like
guys, if you haven't figured out a handshake, I don't care what sexual orientation you are, it has nothing to do with that. It's weak. Yeah, you're sending the wrong signal to guys. I don't care. You're pansexual. I don't care if you're bisexual. I don't care what the hell you are. If you're a guy, I don't care what orientation, what pronouns, or whatever you say to. Learn to shake a hand. It'll go a long way.
If we're doing a deal together and you shake my hand like that, I feel like I can take advantage of you.
Of course. You just feel like the person's weak. If his handshake is weak or her hand, like their character has to be weak, which means their mindset might be weak. I can break you.
Yeah. Like legit, we negotiate. I am legit running circles over you. Yeah.
So we shake hands. You're supposed to be like this. You look each other in your eye, get a nice
like this.
Oops, sorry about the microphone.
The respect I just had for you in that handshake, I'm like, I am in for a battle with this guy. It's a friendly, healthy way. Yeah. You know? And you want that.
And you squeeze it like, you squeeze it in a nice, stern way.
No, like
you're not breaking the dude's hand or anything like that. And again, I just say, it doesn't matter pronoun, sex orientation, all that stuff too. I'm just saying, women too. Like I try to teach my girls too, like handshake. But I'm just saying for our culture stuff, if you're a guy with a like girls can get away with a limp handshake. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is.
It's feminine.
Guys, I'm sorry, you do not get away with it.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. That's how you lose the broskies.
Yeah,
real quick.
Yeah.
Going back to the perfectly imperfect. One thing I realized in real estate, there's this culture of seeming perfect all the time. And I noticed this with a lot of realtors. And one of the key things that you mentioned to us early on is that, you know, the average realtor does like 1 or 2 deals a year, right? But the optics of it, right, is they seem so perfect. And I wanted to know from you, what created this culture of seeming as if you're the perfect realtor?
I don't know what happened when I started too. It was like it was always worried about like, oh, your image is your brand. And you want to make sure that you want to portray the best side of yourself. And I think that's what it is, because if you work for a company, it's the company that takes like most of the, not the criticism or whatever the brand stands. There's something to stand behind, right? So with me, I'm like with Royal LePage, but it's David Schnelli, a DC brand. So you want to make sure everything's polished and you want to show the best version of yourself. I think that's where it came from. But I found it different because I thought the reason with the advent of using more videos and live streams and like my recordings, you've seen the ones that are on, not on the podcast, but I do the ones on a daily basis. And all that stuff. That's just me talking. I get a better response rate than things that are much more polished because it's the real you. People resonate better with you. So it's a mindset that people think that you have to show this. I have to be a millionaire. And like I have to show the bling and all that stuff to other people.
Like a Ryan Serhant type of energy.
Yeah, but the funny thing is you turn off a lot of people. And I think a lot of times that people are in the mindset, oh, fake it till you make it. Well, that only goes so far, right? Like you have to be authentic and be yourself, because then once people meet you in real life, that whole perfect persona fades away. I had a friend of mine, she's in her book. She finally started doing videos. Like I remember we were talking, and I remember sitting down beside her, like the champions and stuff too. And she's like, "Oh, I can do videos." And she goes, like, she knows I was doing videos. I was just starting to do them. And she goes, "But you do them all the time." And then like, "How do you do it?" I'm like, "You just do it, right? You just start doing it." And then I continued doing it. And then my business started to grow because of what things I was portraying. And her whole thing was, it's like, well, I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I sound. I don't like this. And I was like, but your imperfections make you who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And you're beautiful. And no matter what you're doing, that makes you perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That makes you perfectly you. That makes you perfectly you. The scars on my face, how I have over here, like there, I forget which side I got jumped by, long story short, I got jumped by a guy who was on steroids and cocaine. We went to, during my MBA, and I have a scar on one of my eyes. When I close my eyes, you can kind of see the scar tissue. And we were at my friend's party with his girlfriend. And it was like his girlfriend's brother's friend. It's like this big bodybuilder. Again, he was on a bunch of steroids and cocaine. I didn't know at the time.
You guys just like sipping beers?
I didn't know. Like, we were civil.
Yeah.
But my buddy wasn't feeling well. Like, and I was helping his girlfriend, Sarah. We were trying to find him. And we were just kind of hanging out. And I had a girlfriend at the time with me. So we're ready to leave. All of a sudden he goes, "Hey man, come here for a second." I said, "Sure."
The big guy tells you this.
Yeah. And I said, "Hey, what's going on?" And I'm listening and he goes, "I don't like the way you've been following with Sarah like all night." And I'm like, "I don't appreciate that." I said, "What are you talking about?" By the time I looked up, he just started wailing on me. And my hands were behind my back. I remember, and he had beat me up like, because he was a boxer. And again, I was drunk at the time, like we were out partying all night. And he literally, my face blew up like this. He beat the shit out of me.
Damn, bro.
Yeah. And I went to charge him.
You wanted to?
I went to the cops to charge. He was going to charge. And then the cops were like, yeah, like they were going to charge him, throw him in jail. Because he jumped an innocent person, not like the two. Actually, my friend's brother was actually going to put a hit on him, but that was a different story. Mm-hmm. We won't get it. Like, that's legit. He almost wanted to, like, literally kill him, not figuratively, because he had some connection. I'm like, I don't want the guy to be whacked. I'm like, no, listen, he was drunk and high and steroids, all that shit.
Teach him a lesson.
Just teach him a lesson. So he called and apologized. Like, "Listen, I was out of my mind. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened." I'm like, "Listen, I was there to make sure I put you on record to make sure this doesn't happen again." Anyway, why am I telling you this story?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a scar on my face. Or when every time, if you look at it now, when I squint my eyes, you can see it. The scar tissue never went away.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of that too, but that makes me me. My nose is busted. If you see over here, like I have a bump on one side, the other side. I'm supposed to get it fixed. Deviated septum. I've been trying to get it fixed. I broke my nose like 9 times.
From hockey?
Never from hockey.
Surprisingly.
from being a stupid idiot. Like,
this is back in university?
No, before. I broke my nose the first time I was in grade 4. Okay. I've had the bump since grade 4.
Mm.
Yeah. It used to look like this. And it's flat. And then we were playing ball hockey and I hit a kid from behind and his head came, snapped and hit my nose and cartilage got shoved up and broke it. Yeah. And being ruckus. The last time I broke my nose, I was a rookie in university, and day before pictures, the seniors, it was a Sunday night, university, playing hockey in university, and the seniors were doing bar dives, and the freshmen had to hold their hands like this, and they were bar diving into our hands. Well, one of my buddies jumped, one of the seniors jumped, and he hit my nose, and I headbutted my guy beside me, split my nose right across the bridge, blood was pouring here, all out here.
Is it the bar?
Yeah, it was at the bar.
Man.
Just doing stupid stuff, right? Just again, hockey players, right? So anyway, and I've thought about changing my nose, it'll change my voice, it'll change everything, but it's like, I don't know. And I've heard people changing the deviated septums and not even helping. It's like, but that also kind of makes me me, right? So yeah, my nose is not perfect and it's bumpy. It's kind of, it's big. I make fun of, hey, listen, it's a big nose. I get it. But the imperfections make David Chinelli who David Chinelli is. Like,
yeah.
But
let me challenge you on that. So for like perfectly imperfect, there's guys who are imperfect. They might be 5'6", 5'5". They're short, they're stout, and they can't change that about themselves. And those provide them a limitation into the things that can gain them respect. For example, taller guys tend to gain a lot of respect from men and women. Shorter guys who you're short, you're balding, you can't do anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
What is your take on that? And what's your advice to those people who are dealing with things that you got dealt a bad hand in life? You know what I'm saying?
Well, we've talked about loving yourself no matter what.
Yeah.
So that's the first step. So, do you know who Danny DeVito is?
It sounds familiar.
He's an actor from like when I was a kid in the 80s stuff.
Yeah.
You know, he was on all these TV shows, this short little guy, I guess, what do you know? Was he on Taxi or was he on? And then he wasn't, so he married the Rhea from Cheers. He played the Penguin in one of the Batman movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like you see these, if you Google Danny DeVito, you know he is. Yes, he's in Matilda. Exactly. He's in a whole bunch of things. So anyways, he's short, bald, and fat. He's made a huge career out of because that was a role that he needed to fulfill. In this game of life, there are certain roles in which you can fulfill. Also know your expectations. Like, not set your expectations, but maybe there's somebody who's perfectly for you that was looking for that. There's people that are maybe attracted to you but you're not going to be attracted to somebody who's dealt a bad card in any kind of sense, or they feel they've dealt a bad card, and you're sitting and wallowing in it. Now, it's easy enough for us to say, you know, maybe we're healthy. Like I've talked to my brother about this before, who had the spina bifida. I'm like, listen, you were dealt a bad card, but nothing's changed in 51 years. No, it's not going to change. So you have to learn how to deal with that. Figure out how can you use this to your advantage, right? Now, if you're losing your hair, you can get hair plugs, get some money. There's ways around there too. What's that? You can go to Turkey. Yeah, but there's my old neighbor did. His hair looks great. Yeah. If you're fat and overweight, there's some people that there's certain things that you can do to help you out. Like that, if there's some people that are prone to obesity, they can eat the same calories as we do, but they'll continue to get fat. But there are doctors help that. Ozempic helps that. There's other things to do to help that. There's now a new surgery to make you taller, right? But things that can't help it, like if you're born without limbs, you know, there's AI stuff to help you with that. Anyway, there's certain things you can do, I guess, at that point, but is that going to make you fulfilled? Again, you've heard about people having reassignment surgery thinking that that's going to fulfill them. And then they still have the highest, like more than 50% still commit suicide because they thought that the surgery was going to help them. Yeah. Until, I guess, you accept who you are and love who you are. Like, it's hard for somebody else to do that as well, right? Like, so your first step needs to be accepting of that kind of stuff. What can I change? What can I not change? Persevere, push towards those goals, but also know that you can have a partner that loves you who you are. You probably find your friends and family that love you, or surround yourself with positive energy, and you'd be surprised how all of a sudden something that you thought was a crutch holding you back is no longer there anymore.
Are there those moments where you've shared those imperfections that you have that perhaps you haven't shared them on the podcast or with me that have led to positive outcomes for you?
Well, I just shared one with my nose and my face and things like that. Those are a couple of things. Like, you know, also like, doesn't matter how much weight I lose, I always have like the round of belly fat on me. I just can never
it's like stubborn.
Yeah, it just won't leave, right? I remember I dropped down to 180 pounds of too, and it was like skinny. I got abs, and it's like, it just drives me nuts. And my wife would always look, she goes, "Why do you care so much?" And I'm like, I don't know, just one of my insecurities. So the reason why that helps me is that, like, you know, I think somebody's still pulled together, and we still have insecurities. So if I have those insecurities, I know other people do too. And it's not to attack them, but it also just makes them human as well. Yeah. So it's knowing that none of us are perfect. And it's also hard for me to accept that. I still want to have the perfect body. I'm 45, I'm going to be 46.
You're still pushing.
I still want to push it. I still want to feel like, although I feel better. I feel probably better now than I did when I was in like 25, 30. Yeah. But that being said, it's like, you know, at some point it's like you have to accept some things and be like, okay, like, it's like I may not get that. And I'm like, but other people, if I'm putting all this work and I'm not getting there too, other people are probably doing the same thing. And it's okay. That makes us perfectly imperfect. You know, like knowing that we're all in this battle together, that none of us are perfect.
Yeah. And, you know, it's, we're not in a culture where, as you said earlier, like with the social medias and everything, you're seeing a lot more, and I can't speak to them, but just what I'm seeing is there's this culture of girls getting BBLs.
I fucking hate BBLs.
Lip injections.
They look so fake. Oh my God.
They look like
wait, stop the BBL. Have you seen the girls? I don't understand this. Like, it looks so fake. Like, they have this butt. It goes like this and it goes round. So it goes round and the two little like pencils sticking out of it. It looks weird.
They're pushing P, Dave.
I'm sorry, dude. It's just to me, like, I don't find that attractive whatsoever.
You don't like BBLs? What if Nat says she wants to get a BBL?
She wouldn't do that. Yeah.
She would never do it.
She wouldn't do it. She just doesn't find it. I'm like, she did. I'm like, fine. But I guess depending on the level you go, but like, I'm seeing the foundation. some girls like some breast implants, and like, you know, if they're not, it's not too huge. I'm talking about the weird looking BBLs.
They just look like there's no taste to it.
Right. So a BBL would be okay if it's just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Just add some plump.
But then we always see that it just gets extreme.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then it looks, and the problem is that you get like body dysphoria, which you don't realize it looks odd.
Yeah.
Like me and the girls were walking in the mall the other day, and I saw this girl, and she was like this lady.
Yeah.
She was shiny. You know what I mean? Shiny. Like her face was so pulled back and so much makeup that the lights are glowing. Like she had so much work done to her. Her lips are blown up so big, and like everything was hitting it. It was
like a wax
shining through. She looked like a light, and it was like, and it was not attractive. Like it was just like, whoa. You're just like looking at her. I'm like, wow.
You know, and I think for these people too, is like the deeper you go into it, let's say you get work done somewhere, there's this incessant need to continue getting more and more and more.
That's body dysphoria.
And then you get like, you think you look good, but then when people look at you, you're like, damn, like, you know, their cheeks, their things, they have like,
well, it's like same thing with guys.
Everything.
Well, same thing with tattoos too. They're saying tattoos get addictive. You know, they start with one, and then, you know, next thing you know, their whole arms are done, then their leg, and then it just goes on and on.
Even with the steroids too, right?
Steroids is like, huge.
Well,
how many women have you seen that there's a couple of bodybuilders. They do it for a living, but or even guys, they get too jacked, and it's like they can't even wipe their own ass. Like, at what point do you say
enough and is enough?
Yeah. And their poor penises are like this big because there's so much steroids, and like they're so tiny. It's like,
is it even worth it at that point?
I know. Then why are you doing it?
Like, if you can't crush a chick but you're jacked, like what are you getting jacked for?
Well, it's funny. I was watching that meme too, and it's like, what girls think guys are getting jacked for each other and realize they're getting jacked. They start getting jacked for girls, and like realize they're just getting jacked for the boys because they want to live together and look big. It's true, right?
Yeah.
I don't get that either. I'm like, no. But again, it's body dysphoria. Like, I just don't see it. It's a real thing. Right?
Yeah, and that's what I'm seeing too. Like this perfection, and I think social media has definitely expedited that whole process. And even with men too, I think with men we play more status games than the physical games. I think the older we get, like I'm not 24, 23, like I'm not gonna be looking dazed, but oh yeah, he's making more money than me. Oh, he has a better house, so he drives a better car, right? Do you see that with men amongst your age? Like they're perfectly trying to curate, because I feel like there's a pressure you get as you get older, and you're supposed to be established at some level, but amongst your peers, you might feel like you're behind. You're in that bracket now.
I find more of the females do that than the guys. I think
more females than
yeah. Like I don't know. Maybe it's my circle of friends. I could say we don't always push because we just kind of comfortable. We're like, maybe it's because we surround ourselves with like-headed people. Like we're just, when we're doing well, yeah, we buy nicer cars and stuff. The guys that aren't there, we're not all over them, and they're like, oh, they're dream cars, I guess. But I can see other people doing that. I think it comes to the level of the people you surround yourself with. The more superficial you are with your friendships than with here, the more that plays into factor. So yeah, I do see it, but they're not my circle of friends, so it doesn't affect me. So you know what I mean? So it's like, so sometimes like even realtors too, you go there, see some of these douche guys and stuff. They have to drive a nice car. You see them on Instagram doing all like this money thing, or like, look, like I drive a nice car, but I hardly ever show my car on there. Like we did it one time because Adam was like, he goes, hey, why don't we just do a shot with this? And I'm like, okay, we'll do my car. You know what I mean? It was just one thing. Like,
you did it reluctantly.
What kind? I was like, oh, he goes, I just have an idea. Can we do it? I'm like, sure. Again, I drive a Porsche Panamera. Like, it's a nice car. It's not a Ferrari. It's not the high end 911s. It's not like it's a good car. It's a family car, believe it or not. It's a nice car again, but I'm just like, but I'm not, I'm not flexing or any of that kind of shit on that or doing that kind of stuff too. It's like, I just like the car. Right. But again, do I see other realtors doing that make less money or like have less deals or probably in the lower, like probably the lower echelon? Oh yeah, we see that all the time. All the time. They're faking it till they make it. And like, sometimes you just don't make it and you just wasted all this money faking it. Yeah. Why don't you spend some time on your clients and like get to know them, make the real dough?
Knock some doors, get some clients, do the nitty gritty work.
Yeah. I didn't do it the other way. I didn't get a nice car and then get clients.
You got clients when you got a nice car.
Like it was more of a reward, right? And again, I don't drive the flashiest car. It's a nice car, but it's a 2020 now. And it's like, I love it. I don't need a brand new car. I don't need to upgrade to a $300,000, $200,000 car. It's nice, like, anyway, I just say I do see it, but my circle of friends, maybe that's why Maybe that's why we like, we're always looking to, keep within our means, I guess, and stuff, to not have to do that stuff, because none of our circle friends, I don't think, are doing that.
As we work towards wrapping up, right?
Already, eh?
Bro, I was enjoying this convo.
Isaac's like, yeah, I want to go home.
Isaac's ready to hit the road. How can since this pressure of being perfect starts from a young age, how can parents and educators create an environment to encourage growth rather than perfection?
So I think the problem we've had before is not letting our kids fail. Not putting red marks on your exam or something like that, and teaching them how to fail. So it's like, I think we have to have a culture of teaching our kids how to fail, how they don't make a sports team. Not everybody's uncles. No one gets a ribbon. I think that is better than about the perfection stuff, because you show them that you're not perfect all the time. You're not going to win no matter what. Because the world is not perfect. So I think that's what we need to get back to. We need to get back to teaching our kids things aren't going to go your way all the time, and that's okay. But build on it. Right? I don't think it does our kids any service when everyone goes to a track meet and everybody gets the same ribbon. Right? Because that means you're perfect. Oh, you did everything right. Everyone knows, oh, you did you perfectly. That's what it says to me. As opposed to you know what, you could do better next time in doing this, or you did great this time, you get rewarded for it. It's like, I think that is the culture we need to instill more. Having more failure. And that way it also prepares you for life, because life's not perfect. You're going to fail in life. You're not going to get every job you go to. You can't bring mom and dad with you to your performance appraisal, which I found out actually happened in an RBC, from a 25-year-old man brought his mom into his performance appraisal. Yeah.
His mom?
She worked in the company. But yeah. He brought his mother in, and his boss with him. She's like, you can't be here. He's like, oh, it's okay. It's my son. And she's like, he's 25 years old. Imagine bringing your mother in.
It's a grown man.
Isaac, did you hear me that? Bringing your mom into your performance appraisal at your career.
This isn't elementary school anymore. Even in high school, did we even do that?
No. I thought it was weird when Natalie was saying when she used to work at Guess, and sometimes her 18-year-old workers, employees, sometimes get their mother to call in sick for them. She's like, no, she's older than 18. She can call in and call in sick herself. You're her mother. But no, it's getting bad, bud. It's getting bad. I've heard teachers coming and having parent-teacher interviews, and parents changing the marks because they want their kids to have better grades. That's not teaching them anything. Literally, Jason Pereira was telling me this before. At his wife's school, they're having her friend was having a parent-teacher interview, and the parents weren't happy with the grades. He's like, yeah, but your son didn't do this. They're like, well, what do you want me to give? Jokingly, you want to change grades? They're like, sure. They took her pen and changed all of his grades. How's that teaching your kid how to fail? That's giving the wrong culture. You're perfect in my eyes. No, that's not perfect. That's a fake perfection, just like an Instagram.
And if you could sum up the beauty of embracing imperfections in one piece of advice, what would it be?
You're imperfect. Embrace you. Love you.
Just love you.
Love you.
Like the way I love you, DC.
I love you too, brother.
All right.
But if you don't love yourself, other people, it's hard for other people to love you. You know what I mean?
Now I'm seeing the thing on your side of your eye.
You see it now, eh?
Yeah. I never noticed it was imperfect.
I notice it all the time.
I don't notice it.
Yeah.
I just thought it was you.
No, it's scar tissue.
Scar tissue.
Yeah. But it's this side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's perfect to me.
Because that's all you've ever known me for. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. But it always reminds me what happened. Never let your guard down, even for people you thought you trusted.
For me, I wish kind of my hairline was a little bit front right here. But did you ever notice that?
Yeah, I look at you, yeah. But you're not balding.
I'm not balding. It's just my hairline's pushed. It is pushed.
But it makes you, right?
Yeah.
Well, sorry, before we wrap this up. So, do you remember Jennifer Grey? Do you know who Jennifer Grey was?
No, who's that?
So, she was in Dirty Dancing. She was the one with Patrick Swayze in Dirty Dancing. And she was also in Ferris Bueller's Day Off as the sister.
Bueller.
Yeah, exactly.
Bueller.
So the bigger sister. So she had a very unique face with her nose. It was very unique. And she went and had a nose job. Changed the whole look of her face. She never got any big roles after that because she was no longer unique. what she thought was holding her back because she wasn't perfect. When she got the perfect nose, she no longer got hired. She just should have embraced who she was because she was getting gigs that way.
Worked against her. Damn.
And we'll end on that.
End on that, baby. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 56 of the DC Talks podcast. Remember to embrace your imperfections because that's what makes you you. And people actually appreciate that about you. So just learn to embrace it, be happy, and just enjoy who you are because that's what got you to where you are and you can't change who you are. So embrace it more than anything. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, rate and review the podcast on Apple Podcasts and any other streaming platform that you use to listen to the DC Talks podcast. I've been your generous co-host of the show, Agent Double O, Onosinde. Now the main man here, the man of the hour, DC Talks. And let's get February, everybody.
Yeah.
Peace out.
See ya.